Hi 604. So I'm just going to give you some quick feedback on your Strand 2, your products as they are looking right now. Okay, let's start with Jordan's here. So it's nice and bold. You've got a nice variety of pictures in there containing different bits of different themes which will attract us to that destination. Um, you've used a grid format pretty successfully. So I'm going to focus on the text elements and spacing. Okay, so first of all, those two paragraphs at the top need to be aligned, so that the distance between those two paragraphs and the pictures above them need to be the same. So that means you're going to probably have to nudge the paragraph on the right down a little bit, Jordan. I would also recommend that you nudge the surfer picture down a little bit as well to make a bit more space between the bottom of the paragraphs above and the top of that picture. Okay, you want to be consistent with the spacing of the text between the text and the pictures. So whatever space you have between your top paragraphs and the bottom of the pictures above, you need to have between that paragraph at the bottom and the surf picture as well. So try to make them consistent and even. The only other thing I would suggest is your title, Hoi An Viet Nam. Okay, you've got a typo there, haven't you? So make sure your spelling's right. I would increase the size of that, the text size, a little bit, and I would increase the size of the box upwards a little bit as well. Okay, and then the other subheading, take the trip of a lifetime. I'm feeling that it's a little bit, maybe a little bit close to the surfer image. So if you could reduce the width of that box and maybe increase the height of it and make that take the trip of a lifetime 3 lines. So it could be take the trip on one line, of on another line, and then lifetime at the bottom. Okay, those would be really pretty much my recommendations for that. Okay. Good job, not too much to do. Let's move on to Anushri. So, Anushri, this is coming on pretty well. You've got a good grid format. Things are very much in line. Interesting range of photos as well. Looks good. So I would say with this one, things to think about. I would avoid using a bold font for body text. So all of that content inside those squares, those rectangles, I would turn it off from being bold, the font. Also, you want to have a bit more. You want to have a lot more breathing room between the line of those boxes and the text. Okay, you need to have some space. So, and it needs to be consistent in all your body text as well. So the width, the amount of space you have in the margins needs to be consistent in all of your body text. So if I'm looking at the 2 body texts that you've got in so far, they're not consistent, are they? The spacing is not consistent. So you need to have more space at the sides between the text and the lines of the boxes. And also turn off the bold effect on the type as well. That's pretty much my recommendations for you. The next one is Bob, I think. It's taking a while to load here for some reason. Okay, so Bob has shared his whole criterion. Okay, certainly very well gridded. Beautiful range of photos. Very good. Very nice. Nice layout. I would say the thing that jumps out to me here, I think you need a bit more space. Usually the space at the bottom of a page, between the bottom of the text and the bottom edge of the page is bigger than you'd have at the top. So certainly that body paragraph, bottom left side, next to the swimmer, the diver, that text goes far too far down the page. So what you might have to do here, in this case, is you might have to cut out a sentence or two for aesthetic reasons. I think actually that even the paragraph above comes down a little bit too low. I think that last line could be, for aesthetic reasons, could be dropped. The spacing left and right of your text needs to be even. I think it's not looking consistent in all of those three body text boxes at the moment. I think the most successful one is the bottom right. I think you have pretty much even breathing room right and left of the text on that one, and you need to try and achieve the same spacing left, right, and top and bottom. I think you've done very well with that one. I think you want to achieve the same amount of breathing room on the other two body text paragraphs. Okay, the only other thing I would say is the title is a little bit too far down. Barley, I think you could shift that up a bit. And the real heaven on earth, the same. I think that needs to be shifted up a bit. Maybe that font could be reduced in size as well. Just see how that looks. But it's looking good so far, Bob. Okay, not too much to do either. So now we're going to go to Vedant. Okay, just waiting for it to load again. I do like the use of gradient as well, by the way, Bob. I think that's very skillfully done and really ties in nicely with the sky, doesn't it? In those pictures you've got there. Okay, Vedant. Alright, so nice and bold, very striking image on the top left there. Good stuff, really good stuff. So the issues are with type. I think the left side is looking good. Yeah, I think it's looking good. So the main point of slight concern is your numbered bullet points. I think the spacing between, I know why you've done it, but I think the spacing between those lines is too much. So I think you've got a whole line space between each of those points, haven't you? It just seems to be too much. So what I would be tempted to do is reduce the spacing between those and just shift everything more central. See how that looks. It's really something that you're going to have to judge by doing it. Okay, but that is a point for both of those. It's not a huge thing. It's the only thing that I would say that you need to attend to. Yeah, I mean you could see how a different color font would look as well. I mean maybe a colored font from one of those pictures. I mean I'm looking at the peach type color from the picture on the top left. You could try doing the font in that color. That would kind of unify the design a bit. And usually white fonts on black background, it's very stark. It's not something that you usually want to aim for. I think a little bit more subtlety would be good. So if you could change that to maybe peach or maybe pastel yellow even, you could see how that looks as well. So a bit of experimentation, but not too much to do. Okay, so we're going to go on to Atiksh next. And this is, yeah, we're going to have to wait a minute for it to load again. Yeah, I mean, you know, the sign of a good poster or a good double page spread is that it really sort of makes the person looking at it, the audience, interested in visiting. So just looking at this one, Haji Lane, I went there 10 years or more ago and I haven't been back since. But looking at your double page spread, Vedant, it's made me interested in going again. So I guess you have achieved your goal. at least with me anyway. Okay, where's Atixis? Okay, right, so, okay, an intelligent use of colour, the national flag colours, Singapore. Okay, good grid format. Issues would be with the text elements. So that line, City of Dreams, come visit. It's a good tagline. I would shift that up. It's too close to the picture below, the Marina Bay Sands picture. So shift that up. Give it more breathing room. Okay, you want to have probably similar amount of breathing room between the red box at the top and the picture below as well. So let's lift that up a bit. Also, I would recommend that you align the body paragraph next to that tagline in line with it, so wherever the City of Dreams come visit is placed, you need to have Singapore, a small red dot, in line with that. Okay, so pull down a guide or something like that to make sure that you've got it pretty much in line. That might mean you're going to have to reduce the size of that body text font as well. I think that can easily be done. I think that body text font is, for me, it's a little bit big. So taking it down a couple of points won't hurt the overall design. I might also think about using a different font for Singapore. That font that you've used, which looks like, well, it's a sans serif font. It looks like Helvetica or something like that. It's kind of a little bit characterless. So, you know, it's not a major flaw in this design, but you know, if you could look for some display font maybe that has a bit more character to it, that kind of like communicates Singapore, its history and culture a bit more than this, I would recommend that you have a look around. But you've really not got much to do. It's quite a minor point. So, okay, so we're going to have a move on to Sudarshan in a minute. Hopefully this will load more quickly. Okay, good. Right, so New York. Okay, it's very striking. It's got a very ethnographic feel. Kind of puts me in mind of sort of Native American, Indian, Inuit style blankets that I've seen before. Okay, it looks like you've hand-drawn your font as well, which shows some skill there. It's quite striking. Images. I'm not sure how well those images fit in with your very organic pattern that you've done. I think that the baseball pitcher is a little bit close to that diamond shape or triangular shape above it, so I'd probably reduce that. I wonder if you could, what is it, onion rings and burger and fries, that dish there. I wonder if you could maybe get rid of this white background. If you could go into an app, I don't know if GIMP would do it, or if you had Photoshop and try to get rid of that white background. It looks a little bit too bold. It's distracting from the image inside, and it doesn't really match the red background either. The other two images, I would probably aim to make them similar size. That you're probably better off having going for a pretty symmetrical approach with the placement and sizing of these images. I think give a similar amount of breathing room between them and the other elements around them. So maybe resize the image on the left, the image on the right to a similar size to that one. What is it? Times Square, is it? So also the New York, it's all here, come to us, it's too much fun. That space between those two lines, I'd decrease it a bit. I think you could probably use, a caption under all of those images as well, just to explain what we're looking at here, because this poster is quite light on information. Okay, so that's something to think about there, Sudarshan. Okay, this is Shreyas. Oh, Shreyas's, sorry. Okay. So you've got quite a few images, probably more than we recommended, right? But okay, we'll go with that. Really just capture what some things that I've seen of Italy. It's a slight scrapbook feel in that you've got some images which are tilted. I quite like that though. I think your choice of font for the titles is good. I think it matches the character of the country as well. So well done with that. I think the main issue is with spacing though. As I've said to other people, you want to be consistent where you've got a title or a subtitle. The spacing between that and the body text below needs to be consistent. And clearly, when we look at things to do and the body text under that, you've got a massive amount of space, whereas under fun facts, you've got a minimal amount of space. So you need to try to be more consistent, and that might mean you having to edit the text content as well. Okay, so you might have to cut out a line or two or add a line or two in certain places as well. That food to eat, the body text under that, those two paragraphs are not aligned. So you need to line those two paragraphs up together. And also, it's looking to me like the font sizes are not quite the same. So you need to be consistent with that as well. But it's looking good. It's looking eye-catching. It does make me want to go back to Italy. So, yeah, keep going. Okay, so the next one is Ishan. Okay, nice use of background as well. An image in the background, nice texture, nice subtlety to it. Kind of matches the relative darkness of the pictures on the right, on the left as well. That's good. Okay, I think the title's looking good. It's well placed. You've got a bit of an indent there at the top of that body text, Japan. I would get rid of that. Your body text is aligned with the pictures. Yeah, I think the only real recommendation, apart from the indent, is maybe consider a different colour font. So I think, you know, in the interest of unity, just like I said to someone else, you could try a very pale yellow maybe, like just the edge of that moon, is it, on the top right corner, where it almost goes to white. So it's a very, very white yellow, or a slightly yellowish white, if you want to put it that way. Try that for your body text as well. Okay, but not too much to say about that, and not in terms of improvements. I think that you are very close to being done. I mean, you might want to add a tagline next to the word Japan as well to occupy that space, which sort of runs along the top of that temple to the moon. You might want to put something in there as well, just because it is looking quite empty, where everything else on the page is looking pretty occupied. So in the interest of balance, consider that. Okay, Li Xuan. Okay. So, okay, you've got a range of photos, but I'm not sure what the top left, that's kind of landscape. The bottom left is almost doing the same thing, but probably less well. So I wonder if you have a different photo that you could put in that might communicate something about the local food, I don't know, or wildlife, since it is a national park. See if you can dig something up there to replace that one. Okay, in terms of the text and placement of your elements, it's not convincingly a grid format. There are some aspects of it, like the picture top right, well, almost in the middle, is roughly in line with the title. I think I'd make the title a little bit bigger, so it is exactly in line with the top of that picture. I think I might also shift it right a little bit. Yeah, the body text, I'd usually recommend that you avoid bold fonts. So bold fonts are not that easily readable. So I'd certainly switch off the bold effect, see how that looks. the Bai Chao Li Shen, that is not the most important thing. It may be important to you, but it's not that important to audiences. So I'd reduce the size of that font, and I'd move your name down to the bottom right corner as well, in line with the picture and body text that you have. There's a little girl there in cultural dress. I'd have the Li Shen in line with that on the right side. Okay, so yeah, and the little captions that you've got, I think you need to align them with your images more. So I wouldn't have them in bold either. So I think the information about Jiuzhai Mirror Lake, I think that needs to be closer to that picture. Maybe align it at the top of that picture as well. And the cultural costume, you could move that up a little bit. Remember, you're not going to have it in bold, so it might actually fit in one line. I think it would be better in one line for that one. And the same with Jiuzhai Valley. I think you need to probably shift that caption up to the top of that picture as well. Just make sure that you're consistent in your spacing as well. Align your captions in roughly the same place if you can do, and have the spacing between that caption and the image consistent. Okay. Do we have anyone else? Okay, I think this is the last one. Haki. So, okay, a bit like I think Shreyas, was it? You're going for a little bit of a scrapbook style with the tilted images. Okay, that title, Dolavira, I think it could be moved up a little bit. The Lost City subheading, I think that could be increased in size a little bit and then shifted up as well. That body text, bottom left corner, is it looks a bit strange with only 2 lines on the second paragraph. So I wonder if you could just make that a one paragraph. Sorry, a one column paragraph, and just make it wider. I think for balance, in the interest of balance, I think that would be better. Because when I look across to the right side, your paragraphs are quite a bit wider than you have on the left. So make it maybe the same as you have there on the bottom right. Make the bottom left paragraph the same width. I think that would be better. That sunset image as well, I think it's tilted a little bit too much. So I'll just bring that back up a little bit on the left side. And then, okay, I'm looking at the pictures. I think some of them that you really could do with captioning them. So when you caption these images, you might want to do some of the captions actually on top of the picture. Maybe using a light color, well, certainly using a light colored font, so that we can understand what it is we're looking at exactly. Okay, and then the last thing is those columns on the right side, they're not an even width, are they? So I really like that bottom right column. I think that you want to try and make the other 3 columns on that side of the page the same width. Okay, that's my feedback for 604. Thanks very much.